Hey folks, Eric Mashinsky, Gold Investment Letter. It's Tuesday, the 22nd of December. I wanted to give this opportunity to those of you that have taken the initiative to follow us on YouTube, an early look at a deal that elites and premium members have been loading into really for the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks. And the stock is actually lower than a lot of our purchases were made. So this particular company is just ridiculously amazing in terms of what we can buy in for, the backdrop, the story, the people involved. And I wanted to give this to you guys as a gesture early before we send this out in the coming days. I'm going to make this a major recommendation in the Gold Investment Letter. And I think people are going to gobble it up. So it's been undercovered. It's been under wraps, so to speak, because this particular deal, and I'll just give you a little tease first. We're seeing this thing run by Paul Matisic. Paul Matisic, and I'll put a link to his track record and some of the details of this deal in the box after this recording. And Paul Matisic, and I'm just going to pull up the actual ROI numbers, but he has had 3.14 billion Canadian of shareholder value created over the last 13 years. And that includes 5 exits, the biggest of which was 1.8 billion, and the smallest was 112 million. And the median looks like somewhere around $400 or $500 million. And so we have an operator that stepped into this company that is a legend in the space in terms of his ability to run a company, move it forward, generate value, and divest it at a significant profit for shareholders. That's huge. You don't find that all the time in this business. In fact, you find it very little. That's a huge vote of confidence. The second thing, some of you know Frank Giustra, multi-billionaire, legend investment banker, entrepreneur from Canada. You know, he essentially has I believe it's still a current 8 or 9% stake in this company. He's been an heavy investor in this company for a while. And the biggest crown on the head for this is Robert Friedland is the chairman. And we're talking about, just to give you a little bit of context on this, we've got a situation with this company, by the way, which is called GoldX Mining, GLDX in the Canadian exchange and GLDXF in the US. And we are looking at a market cap of we're looking at a market cap, I'm just going to do it in US dollars, 130 million. Okay. Let's look at Robert's main company, one of his main companies that he runs right now, which is Ivanhoe Mines. That's not it. I'm just going to bear with me. But the story behind Robert Friedland, there's a book that I absolutely love. And it is one of the best books I've ever read, period, but certainly as far as an investor in the mining space. So that is the Voisey Bay discovery in Labrador, Canada, that Robert had as the head of a company called Diamond Fields. And that was a nascent, 10, 15 cent stock that ended up going well over $100 a share in a sale to a bidding war of major mining companies. So Ivanhoe right now has a $8 billion market cap in Canadian dollars. That's what Robert Friedland works on. He works on mega deals. He generates mega wealth. He is really, I would say, when you look at all the legends in the mining business, which are a combination of, let's just talk about value creators. And that could be through just straight investment, which is where you would put an Eric Sprott. Then you have the the more common element, which is the folks that stake their own money, find projects, roll them up, grow them, roll the dice, sell them, get rich, do it again, do it again, do it again. And those are where you get Ross Beatty, Tom Kaplan at Electrum Group. You get Lucas Lundin. You have Rob McEwen. You have folks like that. And those guys I would all put, top 5 to 7. And then, I think that whoever else you have rounded out there, you could have your opinion. But in my opinion, Robert Friedland is the number one. He's the king. And for him to be on the board of this company is ridiculous within itself. So with Paul running it and Robert as the chairman, the difference between, and obviously we have a lot of crossover in Eric's broad investments, whether we come in a lot of times before or after him. I piggyback on some of his plays for sure. He's amazing. He's a straight investor and he does tons of different deals and spreads his money around. And then the ones that develop, he will, raise his stakes. But the difference with him versus Friedland, Matisik, and Justra is they go heavy into a few deals and they make sure they make money. And that is where there's a bit of a huge bonus for us as investors because they are going to continue to drive value. I don't want to make this a long video. So here are the bullet points. GoldX they've got one of the largest undeveloped gold deposits in the Americas, okay? We're talking about over 10 million ounces of gold when you take in the measured, indicated, and inferred categories, over 7 in just measured and indicated. They've got an after-tax, the PEA, 219 base case, $1,300 an ounce, okay? After-tax FCF, which, after-tax FCF is 1.25 billion, 2.92 year payback. After-tax NPV, 5% is 500 million US. Obviously, this number has gone way up and these multiples are way up. This is an advanced leveraged play that essentially we have done this before. I've gone into at the right time. We went into Tower Hill Mines and watched that stock go from 50, 60 cents and explode up to $2 in very short order. We also played in our premium service. We played Midas Gold back in July. And that stock, we took a position at the 79 cents mark, went to $2 in 2 weeks. And we sold half and, kept half. And we're going to keep that for a while. Same thing with International Tower Hill. And so the leverage plays, the ones that have got these massive undeveloped assets, are really, I've played these many times before, and I really look at this deal as an absolute gem. I mean, you look at this market cap versus what we just read off on the PEA numbers, it's ridiculous. So right now at 330 Canadian, 340 Canadian, it's an extremely low valuation. You also have Wheaton Precious Metals owns 9.5%, Grand Columbia Gold 20%. You've got basically these massive investors and corporations that really lock this thing up. And then you have 20%. Okay. So this thing is completely an insider held deal. And when you look at this situation that they've got, which is in Guyana, South America, the fastest projected growing economy in the world for 2021. By the way, people think it's Ghana. It's not. It's Guyana. And this is the Toparu deposit, which is, you look at this as an open pit comp. It's massive. It's massive. There are not a lot of advanced deals that are at this level, okay, number one. And when you look at the grades are fantastic. You look at, and I'm just kind of going through a real brief skim here to refresh myself. but you're looking at well over 1 gram. I mean, this is it's even higher than that. And there's a lot of different potential opportunities to get this thing set up so that they add. What they do is, Paul and the group, they continue to add value in various ways that the normal investor or mining executive don't really understand. And so, for example, the capital structure Goldex, which used to be called Sandspring. Some of you may have heard of that, and it was really messy in terms of the number of outstanding warrants versus the shares, which creates this huge overhang that every time the stock goes up, people will sell their stock to exercise the cheaper warrant. Paul took it in less than a year. I think it's probably in 9 months, from 2/3 warrants, 1/3 shares outstanding, to over 2/3 shares outstanding, closer to 3/4, and 1/3 to 1/4 warrants, which are all in strong hands, and a lot of those are out of the money. We absorbed a lot of this. Is that this thing could absolutely explode in the sense that they've been drilling. They have a 12,000 meter drill program, and I'm really excited to see, if you look at their last news release about how and what they're going to do and what they have done basically at this point to generate these angles of value creation on an asset and a deposit where there is a absolute massive amount of data that we dug into, and then strategically move forward, pop it up, drill it out, and add these stages where they know what the majors want. They know what will get these guys to buy them at $500 million, billion plus dollars valuation versus where they are today, which is, call it 100 million US, 125 million US. So basically, I think that from the time that last release with the drilling and now, I mean, we could see something any day. And the other thing is when you look at the technicals on this stock, I literally have put out an alert, and I'm going to put out one to elites and premium members, and I'm buying more myself. We are right on that 50-day moving average at 330 Canadian. It's going, I believe, to go over it. We're coming right off of those lows and support. And when you look at the 2-year chart, this thing is an absolute monster, at least to go to 5.25, 5.5. And so you're talking about a 50% trade, because I think it's going to happen in the first 60 days, 90 days, 30 days of 2020, because this has also been a tax loss selling candidate with warrant overhang and all that stuff from this past year. And that's over. And so I think that we're going to see, there is really no limit to where Goldex could be, but I believe it's one of these unique situations where it's not this tiny Canadian or around $3 US. You're just not going to see a tremendous amount of downside risk from here. So therefore, it is one of my larger positions in terms of money. And the way that would be something I would play is that the lower it's gone, and I started buying this at 380 Canadian, down all in this area. It's been consistent. And then on any drops, adding more. And when it rips and it breaks out and we see, $3 shares, 340 shares, 330 shares, and you see that go up to, the low fives, and you have a 60, 70% return on an overweighted position for me, I may trim a little bit of that off, take the risk off, and bring my cost average way down. And then I just forget about it, because these guys are going to sell the company at the right time, at the right price, to the right people. And that's what they do. They are wealth creators. All you have to have, folks, with something like this to make money, you have to do one thing, and you have to have one thing. Number one, you have to take action before everybody else does, which is right now on a silver platter. And what you need is just a little bit of patience. And this baby is going to be a fruitful investment, I believe, for all of us. And really, we're in it heavy. I'm in it heavy. We're in it heavy in the elites. We're in it heavy in the premium group. And we didn't have a private placement. We bought, millions and millions of shares in the open market. And I would strongly suggest you guys, take a hard look at it now. You don't want to wait until after the first. You really don't even want to wait until Monday, because when it breaks out of this 50-day here, you could see a nice spurt. God forbid they come out with some like really awesome drilling update news, and you can start to see the re-rating happen any day. So I think anything under 350 Canadian is in, multiply that number by 0.75 and or yeah 0.77, 0.76, whatever the current you exchange rate is, and that's what you get the US number from. I'm going to publish this now. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and take a look at GoldX Mining. You are up to bat first, and if you look at the stock right now, it is not a super liquid company, and we have a lot of people on the gold investment ladder, a lot of new investors, a lot of big investors that are hungry for an idea like this. And quite frankly, just our group alone could take this thing a lot higher. So have a good day.